Hey everybody, this is Lori Schulweiss.
And I'm Jenn,
and welcome to another episode of Everybody Talks, the podcast where we like to explore the wide world of wellness.
Yep, every week we'll answer a different question, from nutrition and exercise to mindfulness and self-care and any other trendy buzzword that crosses our path.
Sometimes we're lucky enough to have some of our favorite experts on, sometimes we just talk to each other, but we're always talking to you. So let's get started. We're going to examine how confidence and self-esteem make all the difference in how you feel in your own skin. And our guest today does just that. With more than a decade of experience helping people live their best lives globally, her goal is to always keep fitness fun and at every level.
Yeah, she's a certified personal trainer, a nutrition specialist, group fitness instructor. She owns her own business based in Southern California, where she is known for her dynamic, high-energy workout style focused on functional fitness. And she definitely puts the fun in functional, I will say.
In 2022, she was awarded the IDEA World Emerging Trailblazer of the Year, yowza, and continues to inspire us with her contagious energy and positive spirit.
And in addition to all of this, there's more.
Yes,
She was recently announced as Body's newest super trainer and launched the first super block called Beginners Only. And we can't forget her most important role as a mom to a teenage son who also happens to be a star athlete. And
I know.
we're so excited.
So
to welcome
excited.
Lacee Green.
Welcome, Lacee. That was a long way to get to you,
I
but
know,
here you are.
I'm sitting there listening to it like, oh man, what a blessing. Oh my goodness.
I do a lot of stuff.
I'm like, I need to sit down. Absolutely.
Well, we're so excited to have you here. And I just want to say, the name of this podcast is Everybody Talks. And when we decided on the name, you were the first person that we thought of. We totally had you in mind. So we are so excited to have you. You are just the embodiment of confidence and health esteem. And we're going to dig into that today.
Definitely.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you for having me, and thank you for saying that. That means so much, and I love the name. And when I first heard the name, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Because when I say it, I have to throw my hands up and say everybody and everybody. And so absolutely amazing. So thank you for the opportunity and for creating the show.
No, it's our pleasure. So why don't we start at the very beginning? Like, how did you get your start? How did you end up here?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It has been such a journey, right? It's such a journey. And one of the things that I say all the time is trust the process, right? And I think sometimes it's really easy, especially when we're trying to work on our own, health esteem and self-confidence and all that, to look at these people in the spaces that we want to be in and say, oh my gosh, they're doing so great, or they're doing so amazing, or they got there so quickly, or whatever it is. And we have no idea how many times they failed along the journey, or maybe how many times they even thought about giving up, or how hard it really, really got. Right. And so, so I started, I've always been, I'm an athlete. I'm from Florida originally. So woot woot to Florida. And I'm here now at Southern California in my office. This is at my women's gym that I own here. And I'm glad that we're in like this little space, because if you saw the other sides of the office, there's like things everywhere. So
well, I have to tell you, there's things everywhere here too. We pointed the computer this way because if I move it a little bit, there's like a pile of boxes and stuff.
That's it. That's real life. That's real life. Absolutely.
Totally.
And for sure. And so I went to school at Florida State, and then that's where I met my son's dad there, and then that's what brought me to Southern California. So he played in the NFL for almost 6 years.
Oh, wow.
And so and I've always had a love for just people, period. I've always just loved just being with people. I feel like everybody has a story, but a super love for health and fitness and wellness. And so coming out to Southern California and kind of always being in, I have my son now that's 15 years old. So amen and Holy Spirit activate.
Which I can't even believe he's 15 years old. That is crazy. Like, you look young.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, I'll be 40 years old in
Wow.
October, so I'm so excited. Yeah. And so, it was I stayed at home with my son for the first couple years, and that was a blessing. But I think in that kind of time and space, and I think as moms and women especially, it can be really easy to kind of lose ourselves or lose focus on, what we really wanted to do personally, and where do I come into play in finding that love for myself, and how can I find this balance of still being a good mom, and but still chasing down what makes my heart really really happy, that what has in my heart that I believe that I want to do, and my purpose. And so my son's dad and I, we separated, and that can be a really really hard time. And so that's part of my journey, and we're now like the closest friends. He's such a good dad. He has a spouse and two other little boys that are like my little besties. So it's such a blessing, and I'm grateful for that family unit. And so I got into the fitness space, and I always wanted to do that, and I wasn't really able to find my ground in a place or in a space because we were moving or being traded from teams, and all of that. And so when that separation happened, I had an opportunity. I was teaching as a group fitness instructor, and one of their instructors there happened to own a gym, and she saw me and liked my crazy woot woot training style. And so I started training over there, and then it was really quick where she had decided that that wasn't going to be for her anymore. She had another full-time job, and so she was either going to close the studio, or she asked me if I wanted to take over. I had no idea how to run a business or have my own income. But I said, so one of the, I think, like, silver linings in my life has always been 3 words, and that is go for it. Go for it. And
Amen.
I'm like, you know what? Here we go. It's an opportunity. I'm going to go for it. Okay. I'm going to learn. I'm going to fail forward. And so I did. And that's where I kind of met a company in it, because as a group fitness instructor, and I know you guys have been in the fitness space, especially Jenn and all. And so there was a company called Power Music. And that's the music for fitness instructors that we use. That's like the right? The correct BPM for everything. Whether it's like the throwback aerobics classes, right? Or whatever it is, right?
Yep.
And
Leg warmers.
so I would. Yeah, exactly. And so here I am trying to be, now single mom, balance owning a business, and I met this amazing company. They want me to start traveling and being a fitness manager, and I'm saying all of that to say it was really tough. It was really tough trying to find that balance, and make money, and be mom, and of course find my happiness, and still continuing to chase down my purpose. And so in that, I was traveling cross country flights and doing so much. Well, it was at a fitness convention in LA that I was always next to the Beachbody booth. And so I was always right next to the Beachbody booth. And so every time like that would happen, I'm like, oh, these are my people. Like, they're fun. Like, I mean, like, so that was like Barbara Bodowski and a lot of people that have been with the company for a long time. And so then I ended up quitting that position with Power Music, kept these amazing relationships that I had met, and during that time, I was the fitness trade show manager for Power Music. So of course I loved meeting, though I felt like I was in the right space, I didn't feel like the role that I was doing at the time was for me. And what I was doing, I felt like was draining my soul. I mean, and so, but here, is also a very important lesson that I learned, is to always keep your head up. So had I just kept my head down and gone back to my hotel room every night and felt sorry for myself, and there's no way I would have made the relationship that I made, and missed out on so many experiences with so many amazing people. Then about 6 months after I quit that position, I got a call from a woman, Barbara Bodowski, and she said, hey, we have this program that I think you would be great for. I'd love for you to audition. So I went in, and you go to, body studios, and there was like other people there. You never know what to expect. It was really one of my first auditions. So there's other people there, and we're all getting ready to do the workout. And all of a sudden this guy comes walking in like this. And I know if this is audio, okay, so my shoulders are swaying.
Yeah.
It was a Mwala.
Oh, no, that's funny.
Oh shoot. Let us do our best. We want to do our best.
Wow.
Right. And so Walla comes in and we do the workout and it's only just like a short little bit, but of course it was super intense. So I felt like I did my absolute best. I brought my normal energy that I do. And I walked out and I never got a call back. And I'm like, man, that could have kind of made or break my experience with with Beachbody. So then about 3 months later, I got another call from a woman named Andrea Banados, and she's been with the company for a long time producer director for Beachbody Body now. And she said, hey, there's another program. I think you would be perfect for it. And again, it could have been a pivotal point, right? Because life is all about our choices, so much about our choices. And I could have said, nah, I didn't get picked the first time. I don't want to do it. That kind of made me feel some type of way. And no, I don't want to. But I said, okay, yeah, absolutely. And so I came in, and this was now March 2020. So
Yeah.
March 2020, right? The beginning of COVID. And I walk into the studio and it's all like crazy and everybody's 6 feet apart, right? And you're trying, and I walk in and I lock eyes with this beautiful, strong, blonde fitness professional, and her name was Megan Davies.
Yeah.
And the audition was for MBF. And it was like love at first sight, sisterhood, immediate whoop whoop. And so normally, so we do the whole workout and you never know what to expect, right? Just got to be open. And so she, before I left, I guess, we found out later when we talked about this, she said, can we just tell her now that she got it?
Wow.
So it was such a blessing. And then it's been just a beautiful history ever since. And then even more to that story is Jeffrey Scott, who is now Body's vice president of nutrition and result. Well, he happened to also be one of the lead ambassadors at Power Music. And so one of the first things I did there, even though I felt like the job wasn't for me, I was like, well, this guy's awesome. I need to be around his energy. He seems like an amazing pro. Well, then within about 5 years later, 6 years later, Jeffrey Scott was the one that called me on the phone and said, hey, we want you to be one of the new body trainers. And then from there on, then it became the first curvy Black female super trainer for Body, and it's just been an amazing journey ever since. So it's not a whoop whoop, but but in that time, there was definitely a lot of struggle, and there's definitely a lot of failure. And I think when it comes to talking about your self confidence and your own health esteem and your journey, Dr. Maya Angelou, I love that she says that we there will be defeat, but we must never be defeated.
Yeah.
And I think that that's very, very important. So yes.
So interesting.
Hopefully everybody got that. That was fast and a lot of information.
First of all, I love all that. And I feel like, I've been in the fitness industry for over 20 years, and I feel like you and I have probably crossed paths at those fitness conferences and conventions. And I think I was at every one of them when I worked in corporate wellness, although you're 10 years younger than me, so maybe we didn't cross paths.
Hey, I hear that.
I'll pretend that maybe we did. But I want to kind of just dive into this idea of health esteem and self-confidence and all that. And you have said, I don't know if you said this, but I read that you re-quoted this. Confidence isn't about walking into a room and thinking that you're better than anyone else. It means walking into a room and knowing you don't have to compare yourself to anyone else. Have you always been confident, or is this something you had to work on?
I did not. I have said that quote, but I will not take credit for that quote. I don't know who said that, but I didn't create that one. But I love that one, and I do say it all the time, and it is and it's really, really true. And I think we live in this space where talking about confidence and all of that. I have always had a love for just life since I was a little girl, and wanting to and I'm grateful that I have two really, really great parents and a wonderful family that's always encouraged me and celebrated me, and that definitely has made a difference in my confidence and how I see myself. And I know that I'm very, very grateful and blessed to have that. But I think we live in this space right now where we compare our lives to everybody's highlight reel, right, on social media or whatever it is. And, and especially in this fitness space. And, Jen, I know that, you just said, I know that you've been in this space for a long time too. And, from being corporate wellness and group fitness and running, and, we have for so long given this just one image of what fit looks like, and that leaves so many people to, believe that if I don't look like that,
Mhm.
or if that's something that's not achievable to me, I maybe am never going to be healthy and fit, or fitness isn't for me, or I don't feel welcome. And that's something that I really, really wanted to change. And
Mm.
so, I have always, I've been all different shapes and sizes in my life. I've always been curvy, and I have always, embraced my curves. And I mean, I think that, one of the a lesson that one of my grandmothers taught me is to don't judge. Don't judge, because you never know what a person was going through
Mm.
when they did what they did. And I flipped that onto myself to say, we need to stop judging ourselves, right? And stop judging ourselves and saying that, just because my body doesn't look this way, that I'm not healthy and fit, or that I'm not worthy, or I'm not deserving to live this healthy, happy life. And so I thought, well, wait a minute. Like, I love wearing my little sports bras and my shorts, and I feel happy and confident. No one's going to tell me how I'm supposed to look or how I'm supposed to feel, because I feel great. And I think the important thing when we're talking about self-confidence is to flip that mindset to say, I love myself enough to want to be the happiest and healthiest version of myself. And so, everything in this life is mindset and energy. And when we're really talking about self-confidence and finding our own self-confidence, we have to really take a pause and learn to start celebrating everything that we are and who we are, and that we're so much more than just a number on the scale or a pant size, and that we deserve to be our happiest and healthiest. And that looks different on all of us. And I love the quote that says, even if we all ate the same and exercised exactly the same, we would all still look completely different. So why
That
don't you just focus on being being the
Oh my
happiest and
God,
healthiest
that
version
is
of
a
yourself?
great
Yeah.
that's a great way to look at. I never thought
Yeah.
about that.
And I think another point about it is when we talk about self-confidence, and one skill that I have really, do my best, and it's still a daily practice, right? I think, it's important to, when we talk about self-confidence, and especially with, with women, and then young women too. There's a statistic that I think by by the age of 13, 50% of women are unhappy with their bodies
Oh my
by the age.
God.
And then by the time they're 17, that number jumps to 80%, which is like
Wow.
unbelievable and so sad. And it's like,
So
why is this
sad.
happening? Why
Yeah.
is this happening? And how can we fix it? And I think one of the best ways, and in a study that's been done, one of the best ways to have more health esteem and self-confidence and self-esteem is to stop the negative self-talk.
Yeah.
So if there is one thing that I have really learned, and a way that, to continue to build myself up and lift myself up, is to focus on that positive self-talk. And it doesn't mean, I think there's a difference between toxic positivity and having like a positive mindset, right?
Yeah.
Because things in life are going to happen, right? I mean, if I spill my coffee on the floor, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing, right? I mean, like like that sucks, right? Like, oh my God, but it's like, okay, I'm going to clean it up and keep it
Yeah.
pushing. So there are going to be things in life that happen. And I think that self-acceptance and that self-awareness are two great skills that we can continue to develop, and then not to stay there. When you allow yourself to kind of marinate in negativity, that can turn into depression, or when you're in that, anxiety, or in that space. It's not that it's not going to happen, or it's never going to happen, because anything that you do and that you try, you're going to have failure, and you're going to have times that you're feeling negative, or that every day is not going to be butterflies and rainbows. But it is important not to stay in that space, and to find a way to celebrate yourself. And again, it's flipping that mindset to say, I love myself enough that I deserve to be the happiest and healthiest version of myself. And nobody gets to tell you what that is. That you decide that for
You
yourself. And
decide.
that's why it's your self-confidence.
I mean, you are most likely the most positive person I've ever met within a few minutes there.
Thank
But
you.
I mean, even you have to
Yeah.
have a day where you get up and you're like, ugh, I feel like crap. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to,
Yeah.
I want to sit on the couch. Like, how do you get yourself out of that and back into
Yeah.
like, I can't think of the right Disney character, but that's who you are.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you very much. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Well, I did mention I have a teenage son, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes that definitely, probably my neighbors are like, oh my God, because there's definitely times I'm like, So it sounds like poltergeist in my house. Yeah, after like the 18th time I've tripped over the same shoes and socks in the middle of the front door, right? I mean, but going back to, and thank you so much. So going back to that, yes, you are gonna have days where you don't feel like it, and you know, maybe you're in a negative headspace, or you're thinking about something in the future, or you're anxious about something, or maybe just feeling sad or frustrated or whatever it is that day, right? And I have learned that, one, that our feelings aren't facts, right? Our feelings are not facts. So it's like, I may feel, mad about this or anxious about this, but is that really, really true? And what am I focusing on? Because in this life is so much about what you focus on. And, if I'm focusing on all the negative and, and all the things that can go wrong, right? And we actually do that in our brains. It's this craziest thing, right? And so we can tell our brains and our mindset what we're going to focus on. And just like anything in this life, right? You guys said you did MBF, right? Or in any of our body programs, or in any fitness program or whatever, and which is why I love the health and wellness space. You don't go from lifting a 5-pound weight to a 50-pound weight, right? Overnight. That doesn't happen. And so, but the more you practice, and the more that you continue to show up consistently and with good energy and a positive mindset, the easier it's going to get. So for me, it's constantly practicing that positive mindset and trying to look at the brighter side. And then that self-acceptance, being like, it's okay for me to not feel okay about this right now, but I'm going to choose not to stay in this space. And the more that you can do that, the more quickly you will snap out of it. And then that becomes a habit, right? Just like, fitness becomes a habit, or your healthy lifestyle, everything we do in this life is habit. And sometimes it's just about unlearning some of those nasty habits that we've done, especially if one of them is being in the space of negative self-talk, and then, stepping into a space, a more positive space. Because when you really focus on how you want to feel, right? How do you want to feel? Do you want to feel crappy? Do you want to feel like this? No, nobody really wants to feel that way. So then what do I need to do in order to do that? And one other lesson that I've also learned is we have to push ourselves. You're not going to always feel like it, and you're not going to always want to. A lot of times it maybe is that time more than the other. It is that. And if you're consistently feeling that way, then I would say take a pause and learn to find the joy. I always say find the joy and drop the judgment. If you're consistently doing a program that doesn't make you feel good, or in a relationship, or whatever you're doing that you just like can't get excited about, or I don't like to use the word can't, but that you don't feel excited about, okay, maybe you need to take a step back and reevaluate and pivot a little bit, right? So that there's something that you're excited about, and that's going to help you to look forward to it, and to have that healthy mindset. So absolutely, I would say that's what I do when I'm having one of those days, for sure.
It's so funny what you're saying about habits, because I've gone it. I have to be at work pretty early in the morning, and so I've been getting up at 4:30. I do a
Go, girl.
workout.
That's a lot. Absolutely.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but I'll tell you, today I kind of had worked out a bunch of days in a row. I still had to get up early to go to work, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna sleep in like the 45 minutes that I would, and I don't feel as good. Like, it's such a habit for me, and the way I feel, that I can't. Now I'm like, ugh, just get up.
Yeah.
I'll feel better.
It changes your day,
Yeah.
how you approach your day.
Yeah.
It
I think
does.
when you build that healthy habit, you
Yeah.
miss it when it's not there. But to your point,
Yes.
you don't always have the days where you
Mm-mm.
want to jump out of bed. And I mean, I still train clients privately. And there are days when I'm like, ugh,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
exhausted. I'm tired.
Oh,
I don't want to
yeah.
do it. But you flip the switch,
Yeah.
you make it work. I mean, I can't say that I'm as enthusiastic as you probably would be about it,
He's
but
not. He's not.
Absolutely.
I know her a long time.
but I'm also a lot older, so I'm more tired.
Yeah. I understand. Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
you're right also about like the negative self-talk. I mean, how, I guess, that's something that, I'll say I struggle with,
You definitely do.
Mhm.
beating myself up over things that either are out of my control
Yeah.
or, just, I always, and I say these things and then I don't
Mhm.
follow my own advice, right? I always tell people
Right.
there's no
Yeah.
sense in worrying. Worrying is like praying for the worst thing to happen.
Absolutely.
What
Yeah.
do I
Yeah.
do? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I hear what you're saying, and I think that we could all kind of learn how to use those tools to create those habits and actually
Yeah.
implement them, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. One of my favorite books is The Four Agreements.
Mm.
And one of
Yes.
them is one of the rules, yeah, is always talks about you guys like that book too?
Well, she
Yeah,
does.
absolutely.
She's read.
Yeah.
You can't name a personal development book that she has not read.
Come on, Jen. That's my people. That's my people. Absolutely. Absolutely. But when it talks about being intentional, right? And I think that, sometimes that can be really hard too. Like, oh my gosh, that wasn't my intention. And when you really work on, knowing yourself, and that too, that's another, a place to be, and just knowing in life that things are going to happen, knowing the difference between rumination, which is right, marinating in that negativity, and reflection. Right. And there's, and the different in that is all mindset. And so just like, our biggest the bash to our health esteem and our self-esteem is that negative self-talk. And there are other factors too, but that's the number one thing that they found is negative self-talk. Is when the difference between saying, oh my gosh, this changed my mood for the day, I felt so bad, that wasn't my intention, why did I do that, right? And we can do that with anything. And what does that do?
Yeah.
What does it do? It does nothing.
Yeah.
It does nothing to help us. You can't go back, right? I mean, and there's nothing you can do. So it's like always like, well, what can I do? Let me reflect on that so that moving forward, how can I do better? And then do your best to do better. That's it. That's all. And it's always like fail forward, right? And I've been an athlete my whole life, and it's you win or you learn. That's it. I mean, it's you win or you learn, and that's it. And I think you can take that mentality into everything that we do. And then there's two really interesting, because I'm always two really big factors that also help when you're really trying to focus on self-esteem or snap yourself out of a negative mindset, or just trying to do a little better and feeling better about who you are. And I would say are gratitude and presence. Because there, as a study, that there's a hospice nurse that did this study, and that that helped people in the very end of their lives and all that. And people's two biggest regrets are, number one, they wish they would have allowed themselves to be happier.
Mm.
And number two is that they wish they would have lived a life that was true to them, had the courage to live a life that was true to them and not what someone else expected their life to be.
Wow.
And I think that when you're always really mindful of that, right? When you're in the present and focusing on gratitude, it's hard to be grateful with the frown on your face. You're like, I'm so happy to be here. Like with a frown on your face, and so
Yeah.
when you start to break it down on the little things and knowing that our lives, right, could be so drastically different. I mean, getting that phone call with the diagnosis from your doctor,
Yeah.
having something change with a loved one instantly, right? Having anything in your life can change. I mean, I'm talking breaking it down to the gratitude of I do this throughout the day. I do this all day long. I touch my finger to my thumb and I count 10 things I'm grateful for. I'm grateful to have fingers. I'm grateful to have arms. I'm grateful to have internet right now to be on this call. And when you start to have more gratitude, for the smallest things in life, it really helps to put things in perspective, and it helps you to stop comparing your life, and really helps you to start changing that mindset. But just like anything else, right? When we talk about fitness and anything in our careers and our relationships, it takes practice. It takes practice, and it takes one day at a time. And that's what it's all about. And that's even with my program, For Beginners Only. I talk about, even with the name For Beginners Only, that we have to really approach each day with a beginner's mindset, because we've never been to this day before. I haven't. Have you guys?
No.
I have never been to this, right? I mean, we're new. It's brand
Yeah.
new, and so
Wow.
so having each day with the beginner's mindset really is what really makes the difference, for sure.
And you'll never have that day again, right? So
Ever.
appreciating what is
Yep.
happening in that moment.
Yeah.
We use the terms self-esteem and self-confidence kind of interchangeably, but they're kind of distinct. Wouldn't you say? Like, I've always thought of self-esteem as being like a measure of how much we like ourselves and value ourselves and our
Yes.
overall sort of self-worth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And self-confidence being like more specifically relating to our abilities to achieve certain things, certain goals, or handle situations.
Right.
Would you say that, and there might not be an answer to this question,
Yeah.
but is it
Yeah.
possible for someone to have high self-esteem but low self-confidence?
I think it is possible, absolutely, because you might have like, maybe in a particular skill, like maybe I have very like high self-esteem that I can lead somebody on how to learn through a squat, or something like that. But my confidence as a trainer maybe isn't that good because of how I look or because of how so I think that there are maybe tiers to it. That there are tiers to it, and that, just like, we all have certain strengths and we all have weaknesses. And I think, it's knowing those things about yourself, and allowing yourself to know that that's a space that you can work on. And I also love the quote that says that you can be a work in progress and a masterpiece all at the same
Wow.
time. And it's true, and so I think when we allow ourselves to do that, right, when we're working on, our health esteem, or I love health esteem, by the way. We all have our individual health esteem and self-confidence, and that has to come from you. So yes, I agree that they are different, and I agree that it can be both, and that there are levels to both, and that, sometimes, like just we said, certain days you're going to feel maybe more confident than you are, in a certain place. And I know the places where I'm comfortable, and I know the places that make me uncomfortable, and that we have to kind of push ourselves in that space, and that's where that growth comes, and that's where you get more. And one of the other quotes, I'm very, very family oriented, grateful for my family. My grandma Odell taught me and God rest her soul, my grandma Odell.
I love that her name was Grandma Odell. That is
Grandma
like,
Odell. We
that's
used to say
like out of the ages. That's a
That's
great name.
it. That's how you know. That's how you know. You did not mess with Grandma Odell. Okay?
You better listen to whatever she's telling you.
That's big facts. Absolutely. Absolutely. She did not play. But she taught me she always told me you have to always have your own. You have to always have your own, and that's something, my self-confidence and my self-esteem is up to me. And that's something that no one can ever take from me, and so, you can't look for your self-confidence and your health, I can't even say self-esteem anymore. Your self-esteem, I always say health esteem, in other people. You can't look for that in other people. It has to come from you, and you building yourself up, and you doing those little things. And one way to do that is to stop setting unrealistic expectations for yourself.
Wow.
That's a surefire way to knock your own health esteem, but to start doing things just a little bit at a time, and breaking it down to the smallest level. Something when you're trying to create a new habit, and making it something easier for you to do one little bit at a time, and just pushing yourself one day at a time. And that's really where that self-confidence and self-esteem come from. It has to come from you. And I would say another thing that's really important when you're trying to do better and have more, feel better about yourself, and have more, health esteem, self-esteem, all the esteems,
Right.
is to get around a group of people that are going to lift you up, hold you accountable, celebrate you, and also that are going where you're trying to go, or maybe they're already there in the best way. And get around those type of people, and get yourself away from negativity and energy that doesn't feel good to you, because that's a surefire way to kind of keep yourself in that place. So a healthy, happy life definitely comes from surrounding yourself with people like that too. So that's a whoop, whoop for sure.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like we're so grateful to have you in our life.
Oh, thank you,
I
guys.
agree. I mean, I love everything that you're saying. And I think that, you coming in as this super trainer who, I don't know how to say this without just saying it. It's like you look different than all
Absolutely.
the others.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And that's,
absolutely.
first of all, I think people who are wanting to do your program are like, hey, she looks like me.
Yeah.
But how do you deal with your own, I'm going a little off book here with my
This
question.
this was not on my list.
I know, but
That's
I'm
all right.
saying, like, you yourself, you look in the mirror, I look different than this trainer over there. Like, it's hard for me. Like, I work out, here's my trainer, I look
Yeah.
different than her. And so
Yeah.
how do you equate, like you just said, your self-confidence as a trainer might be low, even though look at how inspiring you are to all these other people. It's like a
Yeah.
disconnect, kind of. I
Right.
don't know if there's a question in there, but I think you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, that's a great question. I mean, and I think that, I think that that was, 1000% my goal. I think, when you're really, chasing, when you really truly love yourself and you value yourself, your actions are going to align, with that, whether it's, saying that, each time I'm eating, it's an opportunity to nourish my body, or how is this getting me closer to or further away from my goal, whatever choice I'm making, as to healthy and happy. And I think that that comes from, really practicing those healthy habits of, I know who I am, and I'm confident in who I am. I have put in the work, not only to, get my national certifications and learn and do all of these things, but I'm confident in those. And that goes back to, having my own, and knowing that, this is, what's for me is going to be for me. And I think that, when you find the joy, and life is always about what you focus on. And so when I feel like, and I think it's really important to always have clarity and be transparent, because so many people will say to me, oh my gosh, you're so confident, you're so happy all the time. And that is true. In general, that is 1000% true. But just like I said earlier, you're going to have those days and those times where you don't feel like it. And there will still be times where where I will, walk into a space and you're the only one that, sometimes, where a lot of times I'm not only, the only Black woman there, but then I'm also the only, curvy trainer there. I've gone into interviews and certain things like that, and where like they've almost bypassed me because they didn't think I was there for the trainer role, and then, well, what do you do? What do you do with that? For it's always about, what you focus on. I mean, and so, when I choose to focus on, I know what I'm here for. I know what makes me healthy and happy. I know what makes me feel good. The opinions of these people don't matter. Okay. And how I feel about myself is what matters. And then I also think about, when you're chasing down your purpose and you're really clear on what that is. And I know what mine is, to help make the world a healthier and happier place, and help people empower themselves, and to show fitness in every age, race, fitness level, body type, ability. And so when you're very, very clear on your purpose, it's easy to stay tied into that and not lose track of that. And I think sometimes, you can let those negative thoughts creep in and all of that, when you lose track of your focus. So I think it's always drawing back to, what is my goal here? The opinions of these other people don't matter, and I'm focused on being the healthiest and happiest version of me, and that's it. That's it. And so, and then getting around people that are doing the same thing. So I think that that's it. It really all comes into mindset and that practice. And the more that you do it, and you got that, I deserve to be here. I've done the work to be here. How do I want to feel about this situation? I get to choose how I want to feel. I don't have to feel anxious. I don't have to feel angry or offended or any of those things. I can choose just to focus on being how I want to feel in this situation.
Well,
So
clearly they
that's it.
haven't taken your body class, because you definitely kicked my ass.
Thank you.
You know,
Absolutely.
with that said, right, we touched a little bit on social media and people's curated versions or highlight reels of their life.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's a real thing, and you have a big social media following, and you use your platform to spread your positivity and
Mhm.
this great energy that you have. But
Mhm.
we know that there are people out there that criticize, that have
Mhm.
negative opinions. How
Mhm.
do you deal with those? I'm going to call them trolls. How do you
Yeah,
deal with
yeah. In this life, you have to realize that no matter what you do, you're always going to be too big, too small, too loud, too skinny, too this, too whatever it is for somebody else. No matter how hard you try, no matter even how intentional you are, right? Someone's going to be offended, someone's going to feel some type of way, and whatever it is, and you cannot worry about that what other people
Yeah.
think. And I think that, when you really focus on being, again, always tying back to that rooting of loving yourself and valuing yourself enough, you learn to respond and not to react,
React?
right?
Yeah.
And so, and for me, mine is always about, one with Grandma Odell, back to Grandma Odell, everything. It's more about control the controllable, right? And so for me, I love myself enough that how am I going to let this person mess with my energy. That's not worth it to me. Please. Like, I mean, I value myself too much, to do that. So that I'm not even, I want nothing to do with that, And so whenever there's negative comments, most of the time I just delete them. Or when you have somebody that says a negative thing, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And it's like, are you going to respond or are you going to react? And a lot of times my response is, on to the next. Like, it
No
doesn't matter
response.
to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Your comment doesn't matter to me. Your opinion doesn't matter to me. And I think it's, really important to also be in the space of, I care about people deeply, very much so, but you can't care about what people think about you.
Yeah.
And it's a very special balance, I think, to try to find that, because as a trainer and group fitness instructor and all the things, you care so deeply about people and you want people to live their happiest and healthiest and try to help them find the tools to do that. And when you see them, I know Jenn being a trainer, you see them start to get that intrinsic motivation, and Lori, I'm sure you absolutely, you too, whatever it is, yeah, woo, woo, that you're like, you celebrate that so much. You're so excited for them that, like, they found it. Or when they start planning their workouts and they're like, well, I'm gonna miss this workout, but I'm gonna do it this time, and you're like, oh, you got it, you have created some healthy habits, right? And so when you can focus on that, and you start to have that type of pattern in yourself, that in your life, that's what really makes a difference. And again, it's practice. It's
Sometimes
practice
she
and
feels that
surrender.
about me. Sometimes she's like, I'm not going to try anymore. So hopefully.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah,
Sometimes she
yeah,
wants to pound
yeah.
me over the head.
Hey, it's
Totally.
all good. Balance,
Yeah.
Balance.
absolutely.
Back
Yeah,
to what you said before too,
Yeah.
about just not sitting in that negativity. Yes, that
yeah,
is going to affect you. You were human. That's
yep,
going to have an
yep,
effect on you. But
absolutely.
responding or not responding versus reacting to it, I
Yeah.
think, is so
Hmm.
important. But you know, another thing I just want, and I know we're keeping you
No,
like,
I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's all right.
as somebody who is constantly giving so much to others and supporting other people's goals, how do you recognize and celebrate yourself?
Thank you so much for that. And that's a great question. Absolutely. That's a great question. I think, I just said the word balance, right? But I think one thing that's really important, even more important than the word balance, is the word harmony, right? Because trying to find true balance a lot of times is really, really challenging, right? But if you can find a harmony for yourself and this flow in your life, right? Because everything in this life is energy. And so I think for me, always trying my best to prioritize what's most important, to me. For me, of course, being a mom is most important. So I like to go, I don't like when I have to miss my son's games, or I'm not able to be at those things. So being able to prioritize those things, and another study has found that, you are happier in your life when you do the things that you say are important to you.
Mm.
And so if you're saying that, being fitter is important to you, or being healthy is important to you, or being this, but then you're doing other things, or you're not prioritizing that deep down is really tearing you apart inside. And so, for me, really prioritizing knowing what's important to me, which is, being able to spend time, with my family and my friends, and then celebrating, really taking a pause. In this life, it's so fast paced, so much. And I have found myself, even doing that after creating for beginners only, and saying I wanted to be Beachbody's, first black curvy female trainer and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, I did that. What an amazing blessing. Okay, now what? And like, you're like on to the next. And it's really pulling back and learning to be present and taking that time that you all don't always have to be in go, go, go mode all the time, because you'll turn around and life will pass you by really fast. So the way that I celebrate myself is, I know that when I'm starting to feel burnt out, as much as I love helping people and love all that, I have to, also take time to reset and refresh and refocus, as many times as I need to. So, that may look like, taking a day to myself, or that may look like taking 20 minutes just to go walk on the beach by myself and just be in my thoughts. It may be taking a phone call. I'm a huge believer in therapy, and really being able, so knowing, what is true to yourself, and knowing yourself enough to know when I need a break, and then celebrating myself, whether it's like giving myself a high five in the mirror, doing a little dance, or, buying something that I wanted, that makes me feel good. But for me, life is really about, I am not a materialistic materialistic person at all. Just taking the time to, be present, to find some gratitude, for yourself, pausing to celebrate yourself, and that's a really, really good thing. And then, just being in it, just
Yeah.
allow yourself to be in the moment and to find the joy and drop the judgment. I think that is really the way that I celebrate myself and take that
I
time for
mean,
me.
you
Wow.
should be celebrating yourself
Every day.
every day.
Oh,
I
thank
mean, I
you.
can't
We all
imagine.
should. We all should.
I know. No, wait, where does the woot woot come from?
Oh, isn't that so funny? Oh, the woot woot is something that the woot woot. I have to like
Yeah,
do my
I
hands
didn't
when I do
really
it.
say it
Yeah,
right. I know.
that's all right. It was good. It was really good. I love it. It comes from really my mom always taught. My mom was like a huge like baker and loves to feed everyone. And she's like throwback, right? So it's all like butter, sugar, like all the feel good stuff, which is totally great, absolutely. And so she taught me in my life to never return a Tupperware empty. That if someone gives you something, right, that you put something back in it, that something that you can give back, right, a way that. And so even though for her that was making something, sometimes I might stop at the store and buy something and put it in Tupperware. But we won't tell that part.
Oh my God.
But I think tied it back to the woot woot. It really was, when we talk about celebrating one another and finding our truth and all that, the woot woot was a way for me to kind of express my energy, to be like, I see you, I recognize you, I celebrate you, and then whoop whoop to that. So
Wow.
so that was a great way to be able to express that in 2 words.
I was going to say,
And so
wraps so many things up into 2 little
That's
words.
it.
Yes.
That's it.
Like
Yeah,
all those
all the
feelings.
good energy.
What would be 3 things that would be like the first 3 things, like someone coming to you, like you're all about, like, especially this program, all about beginners. What would be the first 3 things you would tell someone who would be like embarking to like learn from you?
Oh, thank you. I think the number one thing too would be like, you are enough.
Mm.
You are enough right now, who you are, where you are in your life. You are enough. You need to love yourself right now. That person looking back at you in the mirror, no matter what change you need to make or no matter what you're seeing right now, recognize that you are enough. And the person looking back at you in the mirror needs you to recognize that you are enough, and that everything that you've done in your life, you have made it through 100% of your hardest days to right to this point. And so that's very important. So that you are enough. Absolutely. Number 2, I would say to find something to celebrate about yourself every day. I would love people to learn to celebrate themselves and bring some positivity and energy to themselves every single day, and not to compare their lives. And I think that number 3. Oh man, there's so many. I think that number 3 would be to allow yourself to be a beginner and find your whoop whoop. It would be a tie between those 2.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to be a beginner. Allow yourself to be a beginner, to have
Yeah.
more gratitude, to learn something new, to get rid of this mindset that you have to know everything and everything has to be changed all right now, and just surrender to the process. Allow yourself to be a beginner to each day, every new 24 hours that we're given, with more gratitude. That's what I would say.
Amazing.
I love that.
Amazing.
I love that. I feel like
Thank
this
you.
has been a therapy session for me.
It definitely has. She's had a rough old day.
Oh, thank
So
you guys.
definitely
Thank you
needed a
very
little.
much.
I think I need to call you every day though. Is that all right?
Absolutely. Let's do it. Let's do it. Absolutely.
I mean, I have to say, I started this day. It's going to be gone, and I'm
Yep.
not going to ruminate in it. It started
Mhm.
out really shitty for me today,
Mhm. Yeah.
and you have helped me turn it around in a way
Oh.
that like I could never express to you. Like this has just been. She knows I've had a headache, a migraine for 4 days. It's gone
Oh,
right
it's
now.
tough.
It's gone.
Oh, that
It
gives me
really is.
goosebumps.
Wow.
It
That
really
makes
is.
me so happy. Oh
Yeah.
my
So
gosh.
whatever energy
Yay.
that you have infused through this,
Oh.
I think
Yeah.
you could bottle that and sell it.
I mean, we
Thank you
like
guys.
we started this podcast because we wanted to talk to people like you, because we think that the world needs to hear what people like you have to say.
Oh,
And
thank you.
it's like we want to share our own points of view, but having you here has just been a blessing. Truly.
Aw.
Truly.
Well, I hope you know how much of a blessing it is for me too, and how grateful I am for both of you. That everybody talks. I mean, that's first of all the name that we talked about in the beginning. That's so special, and you guys are
Yeah.
doing great work, and I appreciate your beautiful energy. You lifted me up as well, and so that's what happens when you get in a room with all the woot woot and good energy
Woo
and surround yourself with.
I know.
Absolutely. So yeah,
And
yeah.
my only regret is that I didn't really see you in Mexico to like dance with you by the pool or something. Like
Yeah,
I
we're
missed out.
gonna do it again. We're gonna do it again. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes,
Well,
yes.
thank you so much again for being here. We really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys very much.
All right,
Super appreciate it.
we're gonna sign off. I'm Lori Schulweiss.
And I'm Jenn Giamo, and thank you for listening to Everybody
Buddy
Talks.
Talks. If you are interested in becoming part of the body community and trying out any of the programs we mentioned, please go to everybodytalkspodcast.com/wellness group for more information.
And if you're already a body customer, but you would like to join our wellness group, reach out to us at everybodytalkspodcast.com/wellness group. For more information, follow us on Instagram at Jenn Giamo, at Shuli, and at Everybody Talks. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast for free wherever you listen to your podcasts.
And if you like what you heard, feel free to give us a 5-star rating and a nice review, and share us with a friend. The Everybody Talks podcast is co-created, executive produced, and hosted by us, Lori Schulweiss and Jenn Giamo. Produced and edited by Eric Jackowitz.
Our theme song music is written and performed by Jackie Ryle and Aaron Navisi, with additional support from our pups, Oliver, Milo, and Murray.
Talk to you next time.